I caught my wife cheating with two men in our bedroom. 10 years ago, I thought I had everything a man could want. A career I loved, earning in the upper six figures, a wife who, at the time I believed adored me for who I was, a beautiful home, two cars and a baby on the way. We were the couple people pointed to and said, "That's the dream. That's what I want someday." I'd hear the compliments everywhere. Family dinners, neighborhood gatherings, even at work events. People envied what we had, and I believed them. I believed it so much that I stopped questioning anything. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching because the best part's coming up next. My wife and I had our flaws, of course, but we ignored them in each other. I was devoted, deeply in love, and proud of the family we were building. She laughed with me, supported me, and for years I genuinely thought we were unshakable. As the years rolled on, life only got better. Promotions at work, vacations every year. Our kids growing up healthy and happy. She thrived in her own career as an optometrist. To me, it felt like we had built a fortress that nothing could touch. I'll never forget her birthday in 2015. I surprised her with a Tesla, her first new car in almost a decade. I thought it was the ultimate gesture of love, gratitude, and celebration. She was over the moon, hugging me, kissing me, laughing as we spent the day driving around like kids with a new toy. I went to bed that night thinking, I've done it. I've given her everything. She knows I love her, she knows she's my world, but what I didn't know was that it was the beginning of the end. Not long after, she began pulling away, not just from me, but from our kids. Our oldest, 10 at the time, tried desperately to pull her back. She would sit at the kitchen table with her mother, forcing conversation just to get her to talk. But half the time it ended in coldness or irritation. The warmth in my wife was fading, and I didn't know why. By mid-2016, I noticed the first real crack. She told me she was going to yoga, but I discovered, through our shared phone plan, that she wasn't at the studio at all. She was at a house, the same house, over and over again, a well-off neighborhood, nicer than ours. I stayed quiet at first. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe a friend lived there. Maybe she needed space, but deep down, I already knew. When I finally confronted her, she didn't deny going. Instead, she attacked me, called me a stalker, told me I was invading her privacy, that I was a grade A dick for even looking. And when I asked her the question no man ever wants to ask, "Are you cheating on me?" her answer was an indignant, ice-cold no. What followed was months of hatred, distance, and bitterness. She played the victim card as if I was the one destroying us. But I knew the truth was already out there, hanging heavy between us. And then she confessed. Yes, she had slept with another man. Yes, she had betrayed me. And in that moment, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I forgave her. She swore she loved me. She swore she loved our family. She cried, begged, and pleaded, and I gave in. I told myself people make mistakes, that our marriage was worth saving. I convinced myself that love could rebuild what she had shattered. We went to therapy. We took adult-only days to reconnect. We had laughs again, smiles again, even glimpses of the old us. For a while, I believed she was back, and I was relieved because I thought I had my wife again. So I poured myself into work. I poured myself into our kids. And I told myself the worst was behind us. Until San Diego. I had a business trip scheduled on the West Coast, but one of my colleagues fell sick and the clients postponed. I caught an early flight home, thinking maybe I'd surprise my wife. Maybe we'd spend the evening together and rekindle that spark again. But the surprise was mine. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw an unfamiliar SUV parked in the garage. My stomach sank. My pulse thundered. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I found upstairs. Two men, in my bed, with my wife. Like what you see? Click like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. Let's keep going. The world went silent. My body froze, my mind emptied. She scrambled, babbling excuses I couldn't even register. My ears buzzed with the kind of deafening clarity that only comes when your soul finally breaks. I walked out, straight to the basement, poured myself a drink, tried to make sense of the fact that the woman I loved, the mother of my children, had just torn our family to pieces, not with one betrayal, but two. When I returned upstairs, the men were gone. She sat there clothed, wearing the most pitiful excuse for a smile I've ever seen, like she still believed she could talk her way out of this. But I didn't let her. I told her to get out of my house, out of my life. I told her she'd get her things by the end of the week. She tried the "what about the kids" argument, but I was done. I wasn't sad for her. I was sad for them. For the children who didn't deserve this. For the family that had been destroyed by her selfishness. For the man who had spent 3 years trying to hold something together that she was determined to burn to the ground. I wanted the world to know what she was. A cheater, a liar, a fraud, and I wanted her to carry that label for the rest of her life. The weeks that followed were hell. My kids asked where their mother was. I couldn't send them to school the next day. We stayed home, huddled together, all of us wounded in our own way. I filed for divorce, I filed for custody, and for months I lived in fear that the court would strip me of the children I had fought so hard to protect, because courts love siding with mothers. I thought I might lose everything. But then came July 2018, the end of the civil case. I won. Full custody, the house, the stability my kids needed. She was allowed visitation, but only within limits. She could never step foot on my property again. Not in South Carolina, not in Boulder, not in any of my company's buildings. Even my relatives banned her from their homes. My kids chose me. They stood in court and made it clear they wanted to stay in the same house, the same school, with the same friends. They chose stability. They chose the parent who had never given up on them. And for the first time in years, I could breathe. It's been months since the ruling, and I can say this: I'm relieved. More than that, I'm free. Yes, my marriage failed. Yes, the woman I once loved turned out to be someone I never really knew. But I'm not responsible for her choices. I'm not responsible for her destruction. What I am responsible for are my kids, and now, every day, I pour myself into them. Into their happiness, their healing, their futures, because at the end of the day, that's what survived. Not her, not us, but them and me, and the life we will rebuild together. I used to believe love could conquer anything, that no matter how bad things got, if two people truly loved each other, they could work through it. But what I learned is this: love only works when both people fight for it. I fought. She didn't. I gave her every chance. She destroyed every one of them. And the truth is, I don't pity her. I don't even hate her. She chose this path. She chose deceit, betrayal, and selfishness over her husband and her children. What I feel is sadness, not for her, but for the person she could have been. For the family we could have had, and for the strangers she brought into my home, into my bed while I was out working to provide for us. But I also feel strength, because I survived it. My kids survived it, and now we're free to move forward without her poison holding us back. So yes, I caught my wife cheating with two men in our bedroom. And yes, I lost the woman I thought I knew. But I kept the people who mattered most. And in the end, that's all that really matters. Look, I don't think there's ever a way to truly prepare for betrayal like this. It's not just about infidelity. It's about the erosion of trust, the death of something you poured your heart into. And while some people might say, you should have left the first time, I don't believe it's that black and white. Forgiveness is powerful, but it has to be mutual. What stood out most in this story wasn't the pain, it was the resilience. Because in the end, he chose peace over revenge, healing over hatred, and his kids over his pride. That's not weakness, that's strength. If this story hit home, or even if it didn't, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How would you have handled this? And if you found this story powerful or meaningful, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone who might need to hear it.